Welcome in, everyone. Thanks for watching this week's episode of In the Middle. I'm your host, Jeremiah Drummond, and I am joined with this amazing panel, okay? And if this is your first time watching In the Middle is a talk show that focuses on issues in the Black community. We try to make it common to have these conversations because they usually do not happen in our community. We talk about some touching stuff that usually don't get talked about. Today, our special guest is Durrah. He is a native of Cowpen, South Carolina. He holds an associate's degree from Spartanburg Methodist College and a bachelor's of arts degree in nonprofit administration and management from the University of South Carolina Upstate. Victor has worked in the nonprofit sector for over 10 years in youth development. He is currently the CEO of Brothers Restoring Urban Hope Incorporated, a mentoring organization that focuses on the youth and community development. Please help me welcome Durrah. What's up, brother?
Y'all doing all right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Good,
sir.
Good.
All right, so how's things been with you right now? What are currently some of the projects you're working on? Just give us a little rundown.
Oh, man, it's crazy that you asked because we just started to go full-time with Brothers Restoring Urban Hope. We're a nonprofit organization that focuses on mentoring here in Spartanburg. And we currently, starting in January, will go full out with our services. We've been going for about 6 years now, and we look forward to doing more great things in the community.
That's what's up, man. All right, so today what we're mainly going to talk about is how did we get to where we are today? All right, so I'm going to let that sink in for a little bit. All right, and then I'm gonna get to our first question. So what are some of the challenges with people that look like us that are trying to pursue a career? What are some of the challenges that they face?
I would say understanding and knowing your why. I think a lot of times the people that we see around us influence us, and it might not be our why though. Just because something is good for you doesn't mean that it's good for me. I think individually, each of us has our own talents, has our own passions, but tapping into your individual why and finding out your purpose. I see a lot of kids not doing that. Maybe just following what their parents might have told them to do or what their friends are doing. And I think you probably see it a lot, you know what I mean? Just following your dreams. So that's my take.
I think limited resources, and I don't think it's because it's not there. I just say sometimes, like, as a Black community, we focus so much on me and mine's or ours, and I think sometimes we get kind of stuck in a certain lifestyle where people sometimes don't teach us it's okay to reach out for a mentorship. It's okay to reach out for help, you know what I mean? Or to ask somebody how to do something to get to the next step just because of, you know, how our community is in a basis. And I think that sometimes is a big struggle. I mean, more than anything.
Right. I can agree with that. We were talking a little bit earlier about how, like, sometimes it can be perceived as competition. You know, especially if you're trying to do the same thing as somebody else, it's like, I'm not sure if I want to help you because you my competition. And do you think that that's still real and apparent in our community today?
Absolutely. I think when you start anything, it's gonna always feel like you have to compete for it, but you have to realize you're doing it on the level that you're doing it on. You can't really be concerned with who else is doing it better, especially when you're doing things like within the community, like a lot of us are doing. If it's meant to help, then I don't understand the competition there. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're all pulling each other up, I think definitely one of the issues that I faced was just a willingness to lose some people along the way. Like, you have to be willing to kind of decrease to increase. So you have to be willing to be like, everybody's not meant to be on this entire journey with you. Allow people to travel their leg and then be willing to be like, okay, you know, it's probably better if I distance myself from this. I think with us, people that look like us, we're afraid to lose some people. Like, we're afraid to outgrow some folks that kind of tether us to not growing.
And I think we're afraid to ask for help. more than anything. I think that just that's so deep embedded in our nature, and it really it comes before us. You know what I mean? Like in our parents, that kind of mindset of it's still kind of like the in-home mindset. Like if you don't know something, it's okay to ask a question or to just say, I don't know. Or if you've already done something to get to your success, why is it such a, I guess a taboo thing to say, hey, can you tell me what you did without seeing me as your competition or trying to take your spot?
Yeah, I think a lot of our problems come from that lack of opportunity early in other spaces. We can create opportunity within our community. However, they would say that your friends are not going to grow your business. It's going to require you to step outside of that circle. But there's so much fear that is in our base based on so much that has happened to us as a people together. It makes a lot of people apprehensive from stepping out, because if you fail, you believe that you're going to lose. But we understand the key to growth is to fail. That's the first step, is to fail. And you don't want to make anybody saying, well, people are going to talk about me. They're talking about you already. You might as well get it done.
Good or bad.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good. Failure, I'm learning now to embrace it, because it's all a part of the process. Once you understand that, it's like, okay, I can embrace my failures. And that's one thing that I really want listeners to understand, is that because you fail doesn't mean that you're not going to get to the end goal.
Right.
If anything, that's helping you get closer.
I think you have to redefine failure. Like not what you've been told what it is, but your perspective of what it actually is, and keep going.
And I think another struggle with that is also being comfortable and staying around what you already know. For me personally, I haven't reached a level in my life where I feel like I'm successful, but I'm very happy with where I've grown to be. And I think that sometimes we get scared as a people everybody in my circle, I want them to be doing better than me. You know what I mean? Because it'll make you level up. It'll make you want to reach to where they are, especially if you're the type of person that, you can appreciate where somebody else, has gone or what they've gone to get away. I'm going to ask, like, how did you get here? How did you do that?
Right.
So I think that sometimes we small town people, you get around people, you get comfortable,
Right.
you're around your people. So step out, weather through the struggles.
All right, so Victor, now this is my next question. Victor, I know that you will probably be able to have a better understanding than this, than most, because, you have a mentoring program.
Right.
So how important is mentoring for at-risk youth or just regular youth trying to make it out?
Absolutely. It's so important. It's so important. And I think y'all touched on it. Having a mentor is having somebody who's been where you're trying to get to. Not necessarily somebody talking down to you or telling you what to do, but somebody who's just giving you guidance and support. And that's why mentoring is so important, because if you look at our kids today, they have all types of influences. A lot of them aren't mentors, but you know what? They qualify as mentors because that's who they're looking at. That's who they want to be. They want to be the next LeBron James. They want to be the next rapper. They want to be, and there's nothing wrong with those things. But when we look at the regular, everyday life and struggles that we have to go through as adults and successful people, and you're successful in your own right because you're comfortable where you're at. But those type of people that go through those everyday struggles are the people that they need to hear from, because they're going to go through those same exact things. Mentoring is so important. If I didn't have a mentor, I promise you, I probably would be out on the streets right now doing God knows what, just because of the neighborhood and the surrounding areas of where I grew up at. But I had some positive people in me that just told me, hey, you can do it. I believe in you. And then, Absolutely, absolutely.
So, did any of you guys have mentors growing up? You did?
For certain. My father was probably my first mentor. My grandfather. I have a guy in town, Josefa. Brother Josef's a mentor. Marlena DeCon is a big mentor to me. It's not really age specific. It's just places I aspire to go. These people either have been there, going in that same direction, been there, came back, going the same direction to come back to get more people, or have no interest in all, just want to preserve my character, just helping me with my inner working. So
That's good, because one of the things that I did want to ask you guys was, how do you choose a mentor? Or do you even choose a mentor? Do they just come into your life?
that's a great question.
I don't think I ever chose a mentor. I think I take a different approach to mentoring. Anyway, we talked about my youth initiative, Letters to Your Younger Self, and it's changing the perception of success in our young people to where they do just that and idolize people within our own community that I feel like are not the LeBronses and the Jay-Z's. I want them to have tangible people that I want to be like, Mr. Durrah or Jeremiah. Like I'm aspiring to be that, because I feel like within our own community, we don't give them tangible, so we teach them that if they don't become LeBron or Jay-Z, then they're failures. Right. So for me, I take a different approach to mentoring. I've had people that come into my life that that humble me in such a way, like, you're a mentor of mine. Like, I see you go hard every day, so you've became a mentor of mine. I don't think I need to point out one individual person. I wish I could take from so many different people in the community and be like, man, I want to be all of that. Yeah. Wanda Cheeks with the city. Oh my gosh, LaKeisha Whitner, the people who go every day and try to make a real change in their community is what I aspire to be.
Wow.
I would say that the responsibility is on both ends, the mentor and the mentee. I think as a mentee, just like she said, you have to aspire, to be mentored. I think from a mentor perspective, I think we as a community have to take on that obligation for our youth. I think it's easier to say, well, the Boys and Girls Club has this, or Big Brothers, Big Sisters, they got this, or the Boy Scouts of America, they got this. But what about the everyday people that pass by these kids, every day in the same neighborhoods, every day in the same schools? I think we have an obligation to our youth to be mentors. I think that's very important.
I wouldn't say that I have ever had a personal mentor, but the same as like what you were saying, I have very many people in my life that inspire me. You know what I mean? Like there's a fresh breath of air, I guess you can say. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, I think that there are some people, there's different things and different, I guess you can say, roles in life that you can be successful at. So, like with my mother, I think that she's extremely successful in a lot of parts of her life, so she inspires me. And it's like my grandmother, she's an excellent mother and wife, and that inspires me. So that, certain people inspire you and it makes you want to go hard. And I think that's a form of mentorship itself, even with not having a personal relationship, as far as having a mentor towards you.
That's good. That's good. Now, when it came to resources, what resources did you use to get where you were? Well, to get where you are?
For mentoring. Lend us your resources.
There are tons of resources out there. I get calls all the time from parents, from community partners. What can we do with our youth? I get calls from the schools. I get calls from parents saying, outside of school, where can my kid go? But I think that parents and people in the community that advocate on behalf of a child have to take the resources seriously. If I tell you I'm having a free clinic for you and your children to come to, that's going to be educational, that's going to be something that is good for your family, take the opportunity and come out and gain those resources. There are so many resources that are here in Spartanburg. There are so many statistics that are coming out, and so many things that are going to be done. But I think people have to take advantage. You can hear, every time you look on Facebook or in the city of Spartanburg or Spartanburg County, there's some type of initiative going on. We've got 3 to 4 different initiatives that happen every day. But how many people are really taking advantage of those resources? So I guess what I'm saying is that if you want resources, they're out there. They're out there and they can be utilized. And that goes everything from youth development resources, things that the Spartanburg County Foundation have put together, things that the city have put together, even places like Piedmont Community Action. There are tons of different resources out there that I think people just aren't taking advantage of, to be honest.
And I like that you said that, because I know even when we were talking a little bit earlier, it was more so of you have the resources, but the main thing to have is relationships.
Is relationships.
And it's almost like the saying of, it's who you know that will get you there, but what you know that will keep you there. You know?
Very insightful, Jeremiah.
And even to spin off that, like I said, to me, my biggest resource is networking. And in that sense, that's building relationships, you know. I don't think people realize how important communication is. Meet people, you know, be intentional about it. You know what I mean? You meet so many different people in the world, you never know what can link you to, you know, you being more than what you even imagine.
Yeah, I've hosted several networking events and partnered with Chamber of Commerce and the City of Spartanburg. SMC Studios is a great space that people are utilizing for those networking events. I have, for the last couple of years, I've lived by one saying that everyone I come in contact with, I'm either meant to give something to or get something from. And by that, I mean, like, you have to be observant to the people around you. Our last networking mixer, that was the whole slogan, that everything we need is in this building. We put together photographers and small business and caterers, and we've, since that event, we've used those caterers again, and those caterers have got booked again, and the event planners have got booked again. And it's so important to know how to network. Like, we started networking binders that not only do you have your card in there, you have the cards of all the people at the networking event. So the next event you're at, you're like, hey, I do have a photographer. Let me give you that. Networking is so important. I don't think Spartanburg utilizes it because we don't know what's out there. My event that I had in October was packed with people that I met at a networking event. Like, the artists were artists that I met at a networking event. Jetlag TV, Wordplay, look, all of those people I met at a networking event and was able to come together and do a whole entire event.
Right.
And I think it's very important to understand your best resource starts with self. You know what I mean? Your work ethic, coming to a network meeting, showing up, coming up with ideas, being able to fail. Your greatest resource is self. If you don't do what's necessary for self and your health, you won't be motivated to go. You always count yourself out. You got to stay healthy, keep these 2 legs going, and keep this mind sharp. You know what I mean?
Having that initiative.
Having the initiative, having the wherewithal and the strength. You know, I'm coming off a conference 3 days. I was so close to saying, fam, not today. It's cold and it's cold and rainy. But look, you know what I mean? We're here. We're doing what it takes, obviously, right now. And that's, you know, we don't have to do this. But you're sharing messages. Your greatest resource is yourself first. You put out a vibration of abundance and abundance mentality. Abundance is attracted back to you. I'm a firm believer of it. Firm believer of it.
That's dope, man.
I have a saying that relationships are all there is. And I know you're taught in school to make straight A's, get a college education, go work for the job of your dreams. But there's this piece called relationships that is so important. Nothing happens without a relationship. I was just talking to Jeremiah. I said, Jeremiah, you don't get here at the hangar without a relationship, right? Everything happens because of who you're connected to. And if I could tell kids, or if I can tell college kids, the one most important thing, and I think we've said it over and over again, is to network and build relationships so that when that time comes for you to do whatever you need to do, you'll have somebody that you can call on, you can depend on, you can feed info off of, somebody that you can trust. Relationships are all there is. That's what got me on the show. Jeremiah, let me tell you a story. I met Jeremiah at our Rotary Club. He had a relationship with one of our Rotary Club members. They brought him in, presented him with this camera, the whole nine. I swapped business cards with Jeremiah, and I kept up with him ever since, you know. And we've kind of fed off of each other on different community, on different community engagements. But it all came off of a relationship that he established through somebody, that we established through somebody. So it works. It works.
You're a walking resume.
So true. Like one of the key reasons how I got to where I am today is because of relationships of people that I've met through somebody else. Like some of my great mentors, Lee Smith, Troy McDowell, I met them through other people, and I've been able to work with more people. I've been able to connect with more people in this industry mainly because of them. And like most people don't know, like I've had like Troy let me use his camera for like 2 years. You know, I didn't have a camera, you know, and that's what most people don't know. It's like you need those relationships. You need those people that believe in you sometimes more than you believe in yourself, you know.
Competition only gets you so far.
Correct. So, yeah. So with that being said, I do want you guys to, I mean, you can give like a high point and a low point of your own personal journey to get where you are today. And what's some words of advice that you would give to that college student or that kid that is sitting at home watching this and trying and finding ways to actually make it out, you know, because it's not easy. And I can't be the one to say it is, because it's not easy.
Me personally, I have gone through a lot of, you see my legs started shaking. I've gone through a lot of different things throughout this life. And I wish I could name them all. The biggest thing I've done that I can say was I was able to get comfortable with myself. Like, that was the biggest thing that helped me along this journey. I used to try to correct my behavior to get accepted, you know, and then say, okay, if I do these things, I'll be successful. Then I started achieving those things, but I still didn't feel like it was me until I forgave myself, accepted who I was, started being honest with those around me about who I really was. And then people were like, oh, the whole time, we don't care. You were your worst enemy the whole time. We're happy now that you're comfortable talking to us about whatever we're going through. But that communication, my wife has been a godsend to me. We have a very unique relationship. She put me in a particular space where she helped me face what I didn't want to face. And when I would want to run, like I typically would do, she was like, all right, but I'm gonna be right here, you know? And a lot of things that I exposed to her, you couldn't like expect those things to keep people together, but it made us stronger. And I'm way more free, and it unlocked my creativity. and unlocked a lot of things about myself. So, for sure. That's gonna get me more meals, in the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Plug the wife.
Yeah,
I taught you well.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I mean, anybody who knows my story knows my low points. Scroll back through Facebook, you'll find them all. But definitely, I had to make a conscious decision to survive. I had to make a conscious decision to live. My low point was a low point. And once I made that decision, I realized I didn't want to live a basic life. I wanted to really live my best life. And I had to realize something, that I could not have this testimony if I wasn't willing to go through the test. So it was like, okay, realizing my purpose, I knew that it was going to mean I was going to have to go through it. So I was going to have to be in the trenches and suited up, and that was not easy for me to accept the test, but I wanted to proclaim the testimony, but I didn't want the test. That's impossible. Just wanted you to know that, just in case the disclaimer isn't running across the bottom of the screen. You cannot have a testimony without a test. So that was definitely, for me, my high point. I haven't reached it yet. I feel like it's still so many people for me to impact and touch, and that will be my honest to God pursuit every day I wake up. I want to, when I hit the ground every morning, I want the earth to shake and be like, she finna change somebody today. That's what she doing. Hashtag that, change somebody today.
That part.
That part.
Man, I'm going through a transitional phase now. I've been in corporate America or corporate nonprofit for 8+ years. I worked as a district executive, a senior executive, and a director of multicultural markets for the last 8 years for the Spartanburg community with the Boy Scouts of America. And I think realizing that was a piece of the journey that God was sending me to, but that wasn't the end. And I've always ran Brothers Restoring Urban Hope as part-time. But if you look at where we are in Spartanburg and how vital the mentoring services are going to be for our community, I took a leap of faith to bring this ministry forth full time. I'm in a to be continued phase right now because I've been in a very comfortable phase in my life. I've received tons of awards. I've been comfortable where I've been working. I've built tremendous relationships throughout the community. But here recently, God said, give this gift back to me so I can give you greater. So I'm going through a phase right now, and I talked a lot about knowing your why and coming to my why. So I'm still in a to be continued phase too. So I definitely understand. If I had to give a formula to some of our students that are listening, I would say first off, you have to figure out what your why is and figure out what your purpose is. And then second, work your tail off. I don't care if that's a certification. I don't care if that's a college education. I don't care if that's just shadowing someone or learning what you need to learn to make it to the next phase. And then third is make sure that you take advantage of the opportunities to build relationships. I think that's just so huge.
I want to say one thing before you, Chrystan. It's like what you see on social media is not the end goal. Okay? We was talking about this earlier. Right. What you see on social media is not the low points of our journey.
They're the finished products most of the time.
Right.
And sometimes it's not even that. It's an illusion of the finished product, you know?
Right.
So I don't want anyone to get discouraged by other people's social media's account, including mine. That just saying, because I mean, in reality, it's not that. But one thing I do want you to know, that hard work and your faith will get you to a point to where you can determine your own level of success.
Right.
Just one other thing, because if I don't say it, I feel like this light gonna fall on me because, like, literally, I just did a live about this, and God is really telling me just to say this to you. And I did this live like a week ago. You just said something, and you said something about he let you let go of some things for your greater. And literally he just said, what other people are going to perceive as a decrease for you is him making room for greater in your life. And you have to be okay with less. And I said people hashtag that earlier this week. It said, bless me with less, because he is literally decreasing things in your life to make room for greater. Sometimes we're so cluttered with things and accumulate things and accolades and gifts and awards, but he needs you to be okay with your season of decrease, or what other people perceive as your season of decrease, because he is making room for something way greater in your life. And he just told me to say that, and if I didn't say it, I knew he was gonna be mad at me, but there you go.
I accept that. I accept that. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
I've had my lows. I'm not big on broadcasting them, but with that being said, the advice I can give to anybody is those lows pass. You'll get through them. You'll fight through them. And for me, I feel like there are different type of people in the world. And when you kind of have that struggle a little bit, like, you know, that disturbance in your heart, like in your spirit, I feel like that's because you already know your purpose. And it's just the process of getting there. And my high point is finding peace in the process, in getting to my purpose. And right now, I'm just climbing to the next high point.
And one thing you got to know is what's for you is for you, you know? And another thing that can be a major pushback that may not seem like it is rushing God's process. And we get in the habit of doing that a lot, is rushing the process and not actually enjoying the process to get you there, or what exactly the end goal is supposed to be like. But yeah, thank y'all so much, man. This is, I love this. But yeah, thank y'all so much. I think for the people that is viewing and listening to this, we gave you some good advice to actually, you know, pursue resources in your community, to pursue mentors, and they don't necessarily have to be personal relationships that you have with a mentor. You can have role models and still have that tangible success that's needed for you. But yeah, I think we did a good job of talking to the people, you know?
For sure.
Sure.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you, man.
Thank y'all for sure.
For a mentor.
Thank you, man.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of In the Middle. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us, Victor. And yeah, make sure you tune in for what we have in store for the next season. All right.